Have you ever noticed that many times we spend money just to feel better? Whether it's buying new clothes, gadgets, or going out to dinner, that sense of pleasure lasts only a few minutes. But what happens afterward? Guilt, regret, and frustration creep in, and your bank account takes the hit. Today, we're going to talk about a problem that affects millions of people: emotional spending. You'll learn how to recognize when you're spending on impulse, understand the triggers that make us buy without thinking, and, most importantly, discover strategies to break this habit and protect your financial health. After years of studying financial behavior and helping people organize their finances, I know exactly how to avoid these traps and turn small habits into consistent results. If you want to finally take control of your spending, avoid regret, and start building financial freedom, stick with me, because this video will change the way you see money. Emotional spending is more common than you think. Many people buy things not because they need them, but because they want to ease feelings of stress, anxiety, boredom, or even loneliness. Have you ever found yourself buying that new outfit or ordering something online just to feel a little better for a few minutes? If so, you're not alone. This habit creates a cycle that's hard to notice. You feel a negative emotion, try to fill it with a purchase, feel momentary pleasure, and soon after, regret sets in. And the worst part is that it doesn't just affect your mind and emotions, it directly impacts your finances. Frequent, impulsive spending can prevent you from saving, investing, and reaching your financial freedom goals. To make it clearer, consider a simple example. If you spend $50 every week on impulse purchases, by the end of the month you've spent $200 on things you didn't need, and in a year that adds up to $2,400. That money could have been earning in investments, building wealth and security. At its core, the problem isn't just the money leaving your pocket, it's how emotional spending limits your growth potential and stops you from building a solid foundation for the future. The big issue with emotional spending is that the pleasure it gives is extremely short-lived. You buy something and feel that momentary satisfaction, but shortly after, regret hits, and you realize it solved nothing. It's like drinking water when you're thirsty. The relief lasts seconds, but the need remains. This cycle creates a dangerous psychological effect. Every impulsive purchase reinforces the behavior, making you chase that immediate sense of pleasure through spending again. Over time, it becomes a habit that's hard to break. The financial impact becomes even clearer when you look at the long term. Money spent on small, fleeting pleasures could be growing in investments or building a financial safety net. Understanding that this pleasure is temporary is the first step to breaking the cycle. Once you realize that the happiness money brings is fleeting, it becomes easier to seek alternatives that create lasting well-being and financial security. Have you ever noticed how ads seem to speak directly to you? Brands and companies are experts at tapping into our emotions to make us spend. They use psychological triggers that spark desires and feelings, making a purchase seem necessary, even when it isn't. Limited time promotions, can't-miss deals, and flashy ads are just a few of the strategies. Everything is designed to make you feel urgency, fear of missing out, or the false promise of instant happiness. This kind of marketing isn't accidental. It exists to generate profit at the expense of impulsive decisions. Once we understand these mechanisms, it becomes easier to resist the pressure and make conscious choices. Before buying something, ask yourself, am I buying this because I truly need it, or because I was influenced by an emotional trigger? One of the most important skills for controlling emotional spending is learning to distinguish between need and emotion. Buying something because you genuinely need it is a conscious decision. Spending impulsively to feel better is emotional. A simple technique to identify this is to pause before any purchase. Ask yourself, is this essential, or am I just seeking temporary satisfaction? Another strategy is the 24-hour rule. If you still feel you need the item after a day, the purchase may be legitimate. Otherwise, it's likely just an impulse. This awareness transforms the way you handle money. Small, conscious decisions add up to significant results over time. By learning to differentiate need from emotion, you start breaking harmful habits, reducing regret, and creating space for smarter financial choices, paving the way toward financial freedom and lasting well-being. Before changing a habit, it's essential to recognize the signs that you're stuck in emotional spending. One of the clearest indicators is impulsive buying, items you didn't actually need, but purchased to feel better in the moment. Another sign is frequent regret after spending, often accompanied by guilt or frustration. If you find yourself hiding purchases or constantly going into debt, it's a warning that emotional spending is affecting your finances. Often, these habits go unnoticed because they're subtle. Frequent visits to shopping apps, or a feeling of emptiness that only spending temporarily eases, are examples of patterns indicating emotional spending dependence. Recognizing these signs is crucial because awareness is the first step to breaking the cycle. Once you identify these behaviors, you can start adopting practical strategies that protect your money and promote real well-being. Now that you recognize the signs of emotional spending, it's time to learn strategies to control it. The first and most effective one is creating a pause ritual before buying. Whenever you feel the urge to spend impulsively, take a deep breath, wait a few minutes, or even 24 hours, and reflect. Do I really need this, or am I just seeking temporary satisfaction? Another powerful technique is planning and organizing your finances. Make a list of your essential monthly expenses and set clear limits for non-essential spending. Conscious budgeting is a tool that puts you in control, preventing emotional decisions from dominating your money. Additionally, keep healthy alternatives at hand. When you feel the urge to spend to feel better, have activities that bring pleasure without hurting your wallet, like walking, exercising, reading, or learning something new. It's also important to review your past purchases. Analyze your patterns and identify which emotional triggers influence your behavior the most. This self-awareness helps you anticipate situations and avoid future impulsive decisions. By implementing these strategies, you start breaking the cycle of emotional spending. Each small conscious decision strengthens your self-control, protects your finances, and creates space for habits that genuinely contribute to your growth and financial freedom. One of the most effective ways to combat emotional spending is to replace impulsive purchases with activities that provide real, lasting pleasure without hurting your wallet. Hobbies like drawing, writing, playing an instrument, or practicing sports can bring satisfaction and reduce the need to spend to feel good. Physical exercise, for example, releases endorphins, naturally bringing pleasure and well-being. Socializing with friends or family is another great alternative. Conversations, outdoor outings, or even online meetups can create joy and connection without unnecessary spending. Learning something new is also a powerful path. Online courses, reading, or practicing skills not only provide enjoyment but also increase your personal and professional value. The goal is to build a repertoire of experiences that replace impulsive spending, making pleasure dependent on meaningful and sustainable activities. The more you invest in these alternatives, the less you'll rely on purchases to feel good, and the more control you'll have over your finances. By incorporating these practices into your daily life, you'll realize it's possible to feel satisfaction and happiness without spending, while simultaneously building habits that strengthen financial freedom and promote lasting well-being. Every emotional purchase might seem small, but over time, it has a huge impact on your financial future. Small impulsive purchases of $5, $10, or $20, when repeated weekly, can turn into thousands of dollars that could have been invested or saved. Imagine if, instead of spending on impulse, you invested that money every month. With the power of compound interest, the amount grows exponentially, providing long-term financial security and freedom. This contrast clearly shows that emotional spending isn't just a momentary problem. It undermines opportunities for wealth and stability. Understanding the impact of every financial decision is crucial. When you realize that each expense affects your future, it becomes easier to resist the temptation of momentary pleasure. If you've made it this far, you've already taken the first step toward understanding the impact of emotional spending and starting to change your habits. Now it's time to take action. Start by applying at least one of the strategies we discussed today. Pause before making a purchase. Organize your finances. Identify your triggers, or replace impulsive spending with enjoyable and sustainable activities. Small actions lead to big results over time. And to keep receiving tips that truly transform your financial life, like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any content that can help you build financial freedom and lasting well-being. I also want to hear from you. Which habit will you change first to control your spending? Comment below and share your experience. Exchanging experiences helps maintain motivation and creates a community of people committed to financial growth. We've reached the end of this video, and I hope you now have a clear understanding of how emotional spending can impact your financial and emotional life. Every impulse purchase made just to feel better for a moment represents a missed opportunity to build long-term security, freedom, and wealth. The good news is that you have the power to change this. Small, conscious decisions made consistently can transform your habits and, as a result, your life. By recognizing your emotional triggers, differentiating needs from impulses, and replacing spending with sustainable pleasures, you create a positive cycle that strengthens self-control and protects your money. Imagine looking at your bank account a few months from now and seeing that, instead of impulsive spending, you've built financial reserves, invested wisely, and created a solid foundation for your dreams. That's the kind of satisfaction that truly lasts. Remember, the journey to financial freedom begins with small steps you can take today. Never underestimate the power of a conscious decision. Every time you choose to act with planning and awareness, you're investing not only money, but also your peace of mind and your future. So start now. Apply the strategies discussed in this video, reflect on your habits, and watch the positive changes add up over time. Transformation is possible, and it begins with your first conscious action today.